is I, the vicious scumbag.
And across from him, your honorable sensei.
And together, we are
Longturnlarry Podcast. And we got Ironman.
I am Iron Man. So good. One of the greatest intros to a song. Also, have you seen the thing where they do the finger snap timed to it? To I am Iron Man when Tony has the glove. It's incredible.
I don't have Instagram.
It's okay. Straight flexing. We have the Iron Man Titan of Innovations. 3 generic blue-red for a 4/4 legendary artifact creature, human, hero, philanthropist, playboy, millionaire.
Billionaire, hold on. Disrespectful.
And put some respect on his name. Billionaire. We have a 4/4 flying Histache that has Genius Industrialist. It states whenever Iron Man attacks, create a treasure token, and then he may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. Period. If you do, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Honorable. This is an incredible toolkit. Tell the Larry at home, what is this Iron Man deck?
You're podding.
Pod!
Artifact pod, and it's not that fiddle bender gnome. We don't care about that boy. We're blue and red.
That's right. We don't need white.
So they put some serious restrictions on us.
Yes, they did. AKA Iron Man, the most balanced of the secret layer.
Yeah,
commanders.
like when we were initially brewing this, we didn't know what to do with him because they did a lot of stuff to keep us from doing what pod is infamous for doing.
Yes.
Hey, go pod for this that untaps. Wait, the pod for this that untaps. And pod for this that untaps. They put this on the attack trigger.
Yeah, let's start. The first constraint, attack trigger. Second, non-creature artifact. And then the last, it's not equal or less than. It is equal to.
That's regular pod. That's actually regular pod.
Oh, so the less thans are just like big bonus.
Yeah. Comes into play tapped. Man, they wanted to kick Tony right in his $1 billion jewels.
The most expensive family jewels to ever exist. Yeah. Iron Man could have been broken if you would have made this an ETB and attack. You know, whenever he enters or attacks, we do this. Broken.
What we decided to do.
Oh, it's so good.
So make this a meme deck. Not such a meme that like, well, would you ever play this?
Yeah, it's not weak. This is not weak.
We don't do that. We don't do that here.
Yeah, not at this channel, baby. Mm-mm.
But my scumbag used to play these terrible cards. Truly awful.
Yes, these are very bad cards. They are, though, also hilarious at the same time.
When you get Voltron, because that's essentially what it is. When you get Tron together,
yep,
you take over the game.
Oh.
I'll let him do the honors.
Oh, thank you.
These are our Longturnlarrys.
Now, normally we say the Larrys for later, but Iron Man is a very peculiar build, and potting, remember, is sacrifice this thing to get something worth more. So, what we are getting are the crown, scepter, and throne of Empire. Empire. Taking it all the way to the bank. We have the 3 and set here. These all have very basic effects that are then increased by having all 3 of them out. We'll start off with the one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, the Crown of Empires. 2 generic for an artifact that has for 3 generic and tap target creature. gain control of that creature instead if you control artifacts named Scepter and Throne. So keep this in mind. If it don't got the other two, it's very bad. That's a 2-drop with 3 to tap something on a single tap. It's horrible.
Terrible. Awful. Horrendous.
But if you got the Scepter and Throne, though, I like your commander. I want it. And this doesn't have that pesky effect that says for as long as you control Crown or Scepter or Throne. No. That's just mine. I own that now.
Scepter of Empires.
Ooh, beat them.
3 generic for an artifact. Tap. Scepter of Empires deals 1 damage to target player.
Weak.
When you control all 3, it deals 3 damage to that player instead.
Get bolted.
It's free. It's a free bolt to the face.
You know it puts a time on the game. You know it's only going to take you roughly 15 turns, of just pure Scepter to kill them. You probably are thinking and rolling your eyes, Larry's, what are you doing? Have faith. You'll see. And then finally, the Throne of Empires, the seat at which Tony Stark shall reign supreme. We have for 4 generic an artifact that says for a singular generic, tap it and put a 1/1 white soldier creature token onto the battlefield. But if you control all 3, put 5 of those tokens instead. Very young, vicious scumbag thought that these were the greatest artifacts ever printed. And I was right.
Because with all 3 under your control, you turn Tony Stark into Dr. Doom. Yeah, you did not see that coming.
That's right.
Robert Downey Jr., former black guy, pretending to be another guy, pretending to be another guy, pretending to be Tony Stark, is now Dr. Doom.
That's right. I can't wait. But this is how you make it sooner than later. So, what is this deck going to look like? We're going to show you how we're going to count to 4 like we are Jin from League of Legends. We are going to show you how we're taking 1-drops into 2s, 2s into 3s, 3s into 4s. You get the deal.
Yeah, we're cutting what we usually do is the ramp and the card draw. Everything can be removed for the greater good.
Everything is worth dying for to get the crown, throne, and scepter.
We will do our 1-drops. The first one is Commander's Plate. Why did they give it a cool name like Mark 1?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Why is it just
Wizards.
Commander's Plate?
You literally couldn't have called this Mark 1 or something like that, like the name of the armor. Oh, this is depressing.
Depressing. You did Dr. Doom wrong.
All the other ones had name changes. What is this? Come on.
What is this?
You could have done better.
All right, 1 generic for artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. For 3 generic, you can equip it to a commander or equip it. We're not equipping to anything else except for the man himself, Dr. Doom.
That's right. Giving protection from green, black, and white is fantastic. You don't get the path to exile our boy. Not today. Next, we have Flare Husk. Keep an eye on this one. We'll come back to it later. For a singular colorless, you get an artifact equipment that has living weapon, which means when it comes out, you create a little germ, and then the equipment gets powered by a bunch of germs, which is horrifying. It's just a equipment that gives +1/+1 and equips for 2 generic. This is a good 1-drop that comes out. We get to eat it, and then we go get something for 2. But there's a reason why this one is so good.
Manifold Key. For 1 mana, you can tap it, untap a target artifact. It can come into play. 3 generic, you can tap it, target creature can't be blocked this turn. This thing is fodder to be sacrificed for the Empire.
And then if it comes to us later and we don't need it as fodder, then it turns into a piece that allows us to untap and reuse one of the Empires, and or Tony can't be blocked.
Or just extend one of our plays.
Yes. Manifold Key fits many roles. And then, of course, it's near and dear to our hearts, just like it is on Tony Stark. We have the Arc Reactor, aka, again, no name, so sad, Soul Ring, a singular generic for everyone's favorite mana rock that taps for 2 wingdings.
Tarion is terrible. There is nothing remarkable about this card except for when it's put into a graveyard, draw a card.
Larry's, this is pure fodder. Do not read the card.
Please
don't. Just don't.
Wizard Rockets. We do not care about its other effect. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card.
The beautiful part is we feed it to Tony's nanites, and then we not only get to go pod for a 2-drop, which is what we're about to talk about, we get to draw a card on top of it. Because if it's gonna die, might as well get some perks on its way out.
Wait, that's Transformers.
It's copyright. You can't make those jokes. Next, we have our wonderful 2-drops. So remember, we took our 1s to get here. And so now we have
terrible 2s.
the terrible 2s. Making moms around the world cry.
Yeah, most of these are mana rocks. So Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Fire Diamond, Sky Diamond, Talisman of Creativity, Mind Stone. Is it Signet?
Is it?
Is it? They make mana. We make so much mana because Tony gives us stretchers as well.
Yes.
Do not be afraid to pod the lesser of any of these away.
We're going to say that again. Do not be afraid to eat your mana rocks.
You have to sacrifice for progress.
Yes. Do not, like, I'm bad about this. I will admit. You, like, grow and you're like, oh, I need it and the extra mana. Take a second. Take a deep breath. Remember, Tony had panic attacks. We're not going to panic. Eat your mana rocks. Because once we have enough mana and we no longer need this excess, it's fodder for Tony. Just keep that in mind. But in this, we do have a couple of cards that are going to still give us that beautiful effect of when they enter and when they die. We have Ichor Wellspring for 2 generic when it enters or gets put into the graveyard. We draw a card. We're getting it in and getting it out. Mycosynth Wellspring, same concept, except we're getting a basic land and putting it into our hand.
Nimblewright Schematic, he makes a colorless constructs when he comes in and comes out. And Prize Statues gives us that money when he comes in and comes out, like Red Rover.
Come on, I want your statue.
3 drops. This is when we start getting interesting. These cards are actually sort of good, except for one of them.
For 3.
I'll actually knock out the 2 ones that please just fodder.
Just eat them.
Just
their whole
eat
point
them.
is they're number 3. Remember, we're excited to get to 4. Okay? So 3
This
is
isn't Kids Next Door.
That's
We're not
right.
trying to get to number 5. Stopping at 4.
That's right.
Retributive Wand. Bad whenever it dies. From the battlefield, deal 5 damage to any target. This is some Harry Potter wizardry. You could have just used a gun. If Voldemort would have died to a gun.
What are you doing now, child? Blick.
Implement of Examination. Again, whenever it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draws a card. This is probably the worst artifact that we're playing.
We just trust Larry's. There really isn't a lot of cards that are non-creature that do these effects. Trust that Wizards' nerfing of saying it had to be a non-creature artifact made the search to make this thing work ridiculous.
Rhymes.
It does. But in the, the cards that are actually worth some things, we have some really, really good ones here. I think one of the best in this category of 3 mana is going to be Esoteric Duplicator. 2 generic and a blue for an artifact clue. Wow, that's perfect. Whenever you sacrifice Esoteric Duplicator or another artifact, you may pay 2 generic. If you do, at the beginning of your next end step, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. The next portion is wonderful. I guess we can kill it to draw a card if we really need to. But the point here is, when this thing dies, we get to make a copy of it, and then this continues. You just hold up 2 mana to be able to replay whatever, and then you just get to do it again.
Brass Tunnel Grinder. Legendary artifact. Legendary. When it enters the battlefield, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards plus 1. And at the beginning of your end step, if you dissented this turn, put a board counter on Brass Tunnel Grinder. Then if there are 3 or more board counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. It flips into not a transformer, but Tatlon, the Searing Rift. It is a cave.
It's a cave.
That's for red. Whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana produced by this, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value.
Discover being revealed from the top until you hit 1, and then you can either play it or put it into your hand. These are wonderful. If it can't be flipped, no big deal. It's still got us a bunch of cards, and then we can then whoop and kill it and go get that beautiful throne. Because remember, we only need a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 4-drop. So any of your 1s goes and gets you a crown. Any of the 2s get you a scepter, and any of these 3s will get you a throne. Next on that list, we have Commander's Sphere. This is a 3 generic mana rock that taps for any color in our commander's color identity. Has a self-sacrifice trigger to draw a card. Don't use that. Allow Tony to eat it.
We got World Waker Helm. It is a artifact. If you would create 1 or more artifact tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional map. This is very cool with our treasure tokens.
Map.
And then for 1 generic and a blue, you can tap, create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. We don't really take advantage of this part, but it is really cool to generate additional tokens so they can be sacked for fodder for Tony, so we could go hit our 1-drops, or to, facilitate other shenanigans that we're doing, because this deck snowballs really, really hard once it gets started.
Yeah, it just needs to kind of get that beginning ball rolling. Oddly enough, World Waker's helm is not an equipment. It's very odd to me.
You don't put it on your head.
You don't put it on your head. Next, we have a steel that must be shaped. It is a sculpting steel. For 3 generic, we have an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you may have it come in as a copy of any artifact on the battlefield. We're going to use this to pretty much double up on, if this comes later, then we can use it to double up on some of our more powerful effects. If not, then we just make it, enter in as something that gives us another effect that we need. If we want the damage, it's the wand. If we need some card draw, it's the tunnel. Whatever we're trying to fill the void or gap for, Sculpting Steel will pretty much come in and take care of that.
And then finally, the ever-flowing well.
Snake Well.
It's puking.
Yep, Snake Fountain.
Legendary artifact. Whenever Everflowing Well enters the battlefield, mill 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. Descend 8. At the beginning of your upkeep, there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. Transform the ever-flowing well.
Transform.
Turns into myriad pools.
Refreshing.
It taps for blue whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana produced by myriad pools. Up to one other target permanent you control becomes a copy of that spell. Look at that. We could do really, really broken things.
Yeah, this breaks a couple of cards. But again, Larry's, even if you don't get to descend 8 trigger, it's okay to eat the snake fountain. Because if you do, we still got to draw 2 cards. And that's fine. And we're going to pod for a 4 or higher. So just keep that in mind. It's okay. Some of these cards don't have to stick around. If you need it, you need it. And trust me, you do.
Now, this is 4 and up.
AKA the Players Club.
The Players Club.
The VIP section. The real toys.
A hammer and Azan is a real toy. Whenever it enters or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to target creature that is Dr. Doom. I will not say he's Tony Stark.
Doom.
Foot dive.
Foot dive.
Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible. That is the part that's important to us. That indestructibility. Sometimes you will survey the land and see that the board state is probably going to get blown up.
Yep. Don't come to school tomorrow. But in regards to that, hammer is just really nice here because we don't have to pay the equip. As soon as Tony gets it, he's indestructible. So if you're in a pod that's got a lot of removal or just, you're going to have to try to protect him from board wipes, hammer is an easy to go get first card because it's okay to hold off because Tony is the main component to let us do these shenanigans.
And then, just like the Titan he is, he wears a helm, no, a crown. Because you can only trust yourself. And as we know, Doom has many Doom bots.
That's right.
Helm of the Host is a legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of the equipped creature. Except for that token isn't legendary, that token gains haste. This is such a cool little 2-card thing for you to do. Unfortunately, because we're sort of gated, if you do pod in this after you get your hammer and Azan, you don't get to make a token on that turn, but you are making an investment into your next turn where you'll be able to exponentially start potting away other things and make more treasures.
Because who doesn't like more than one Doom? Well, probably no one because they're dying. But you will make the, Legion of Doom all by yourself.
That's DC.
No, sorry, a Legion of Dooms. Sorry, there you go. You'll make a Legion of Dooms all by yourself.
Copyrighted.
This message is brought to you in part by... Next, we have, to stay on the 4 train, we have Tezzeret's Gatebreaker. This is going to be one of, and if only, the 4 drop that's going to help us continue to pod. This is not going to be anything that's crazy, nothing to write home about, but it does do one good job for us. So for 4 generic, it comes in, and when it does, we look at the top 5 cards of our library, maybe reveal a blue or artifact card from among the revealed cards, and put it into your hand. Then you may put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. We don't care about the sacrifice trigger at the bottom. It's too expensive. We're not here for it. The point is, it comes in, gives us a card, hopefully, and then we can destroy it to go get a 5-drop. So this is the only 4-drop in here that is 100% expendable. Make sure you eat it. Do not let it sit around.
Ooh, these next 3 probably outside of the throne, probably the most important.
Yeah, these break the game.
Unwinding Clock.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you about a scenario where, we have some artifact lands, we have some mana producers, and we have the throne online. every turn I'm going to steal from somebody.
Yep. Every turn I'm taking, and of course, and remember, we're here to take commanders. We're not here to take no petty creatures. I'm playing your deck too. And
Doom!
Yep, Doom plays your deck too.
We're making 5 1/1 tokens.
Doom bots.
And we're shooting you in the face for 3.
I mean, hey, the stacking bolt goes from being like, it's not that bad, to being like, oh my
took
goodness.
15 damage.
Like, please stop bolting me. And it's like, nope, you're going to die.
Wait, no, it's 9 damage. I'm sorry, I thought it was 5. If it was 5.
If it was 5, it would be broken. But
It'd be scary.
Either way, though, free bolts on everyone's turn is...
That is like...
It's so
approximately almost like a fourth. I said approximately almost.
Approximately almost. Percentage 1/4, third, fifth, carry the 9. Unwinding. We're not in the colors for Seedborn. We're not in the colors for, we're not in white and we're not in green. So shout outs to a previous deck tech that loves the idea of untapping. We're not in the colors for it besides like Intruder Alarm. But remember, we're restricted to non-creatures. So, trust. They made Tony fair. Unwinding is the first step to breaking Tony Stark.
If you don't have that clock, you use a clock of omens.
Yeah, if you can't unwind one, you might as well have an evil one.
Tap 2 untap artifacts, untap another artifact.
I hope you see where this is going.
Same deal, just a little bit harder. More time consuming.
It's still going to get the job done. You just need more than one thing out. And the benefit is, like, perfect example, you can actually use the other parts of the Empire combo to untap one of the Empire combos. So if you, like, for example,
you're desperate.
Yeah, if you're desperate, you could use this to steal something super impactful or make a bigger board. So no, Clock of Omens goes burr pretty quick.
In the final.
And one of the greatest. This one is keep it in the back pocket. Remember what I was talking about, Flare Husk?
We're not there yet.
Oh, I was going to say, this will become relevant soon.
Quark Clan Ironworks. Notable, didn't cause any problems in Modern. Perfectly fair card. Sacrifice an artifact. Get 2 Wingdings.
I love this thing. It's always been a fun card. I always love the artwork because it's like 2 goblins trying to throw a poor mirror into like an oven. And I feel bad for the mirror. But this card makes everything we want to do happen faster.
That's what everybody has a problem with this card. It just does evil stuff. I'm going to let you take the rest of these cards that are in this pile.
Oh, man. So remember, we're trying to pot up some things that have some really big payoffs. We're also we're doing a lot here. So remember, we had Tezzeret's Gatebreaker. So that's a 4-drop. So 4 is going to go get us a 5. Let me tell you the 5-drop that is expendable that we're going to use to get our 6-drop. So we have Ugin's Nexus. It's a 5 generic legendary artifact that states if a player would begin an extra turn, instead that player skips it. So first of all, we're not letting any storm happen. Ooh, it's coming soon. And then if Ugin's Nexus would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield, instead exile it and take an extra turn after this one. Larry's, we really wanted to use extra turn spells and extra combats with Iron Man because that would be a way to allow him to do these things more often. The downside is he's trying to do too much to do the thing. And Ugin's
boring. That's why we didn't do it. It's boring.
It's
such an easy cop out.
It
cool.
is.
Play some extra turn spells to artificially make your deck stronger.
I like what you did there. That would be the Ultron version. Hey, I'm just saying, I had a vision for the deck.
Ooh. Didn't know which way to go about it.
Turn them into spaghetti.
But there is some shenanigans with Ugin's Nexus when you can like sort of make copies of it, but it's really hard to do because you have to make sure you get rid of all of your copies of Ugin's Nexus, because if you were to start an extra turn, your existing Ugin's Nexus is going to be like...
Cancels your current Ugin's Nexus.
No, you will not be taking an extra turn. You sacrifice that for no reason.
Skip that.
So we do have some shenanigans. It's not what we're actively trying to do, but it can happen.
This is just a cool card, you know. Like again, it's a 5-drop we can get rid of that has some really neat effects,
and it just goes into our 2 6-drops,
which are amazing. So I'll let you. I know you said I got the rest, but you got the final one. So our first 6-drop is Chamil the Inner Sun. If you're not familiar with this card, this is a colorless powerhouse. This thing can fit in anything, and it works in everything. This is a definite easy to include card. 6 generic for a legendary artifact that states your spells can't be countered. Plain and simple. Put that thing away. And then lastly, at the beginning of your end step, discover 5. I mean, the beauty of this is they can't stop our interactions, and we're gonna go get something for free. There's no downside here. The downside is it's 6 mana, but again, we have ways to get there because we cheating, baby.
Period.
Oh man, this thing is broken. Well, it's not normally.
It's not, but
we're
doing it. So we did add one little schmancy backup combo.
Yes,
because you should always. I don't care what they say. Always have a backup combo. If your plan A doesn't work, win out of nowhere. 2-card combos are okay. 1-card combos are okay. Steal the game from your opponents. Lose your friend.
It's like Honorable Sensei became Dr. Doom.
Doom. Doom's actually really good to its people.
He is.
Just not
now
anybody
hit him with
else.
these magic missiles.
We did have some wizard missiles.
We did. We got some wizard fingers.
Salvaging Station is 6 generic for an artifact. It says tap, return target non-creature artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to play. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may untap Salvaging Station. So remember that ugly equipment that we was playing for no reason?
Little husky boy.
Little
flare husk.
Yeah, if we have him in Quirk Clan Ironworks, we make infinite mana, essentially, because the equipment comes with a germ. If we sacrifice the equipment, the germ then dies.
Because it becomes a 0/0. So it goes...
triggering the Salvation
Army Station.
Untap, and then we can bring back that equipment back to the battlefield.
Which makes a new germ.
Woo! So by itself, we make infinite colorless. Really doesn't do much for us all the time.
No.
Until we get a payoff.
And that brings us so wonderfully into our next section, which is how does Tony Stark make weaponry? Just kidding. We already know that he does, because Stark Industries is blowing up a town near you.
Doom
Industries. We're going to start off with the best of the damage dealers here. We have Molten Gatekeeper. 2 generic and a red for an artifact creature golem, 2/3, that states whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then he has Unearth for a red. You may return him from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Again, we're going to be then having that little flare husk constantly come in, which is going to have an infinite amount of ETBs, which means we kill everybody out using this infinite damage. Also, Molten Gatekeeper being an artifact creature, we can tutor for him. So he is a 3, so you can use one of your 2s to tutor for Molten Gatekeeper.
He is unearthed, which is the most important part of this.
It's crazy. You can not only tutor for him, he's hard to get rid of. And it's to each opponent, not to a opponent. Like, it's just everything we want. And he's got a big butt. Like, it's just good.
And then when we're making 5 humans, do.
Yep.
Shoot out the bag.
That's like, think about it. 15 tokens around the table. It's 15 damage before it gets back to your turn. You're gonna catch so much heat, but I mean, it's worth.
It's worth. Ingenious Artillerist is 2 generic and a red for a human artificer. It's a 3/1. Whenever one or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, Ingenious Artificer deals Artillerist. Why did I say Artificer? Deals that much damage to each opponent.
We love this. It's still gonna go burr 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 burr, burr and we kill everybody. Can't tutor for him, but it's still wicked to be able to do. And our final one is Reckless Fireweaver. For generic and a red, you have a 1/3 human artificer that states whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. Plain and simple. These don't go and win us the game without that combo, but they definitely help us kind of tick everybody down as we're bringing out things, because we're naturally going to be having creatures and or artifacts entering the battlefield.
Let's get to some card draw. I know that a lot of the things that we do just say, hey, when it die, draw a card. We need some card draw outside of that.
But it is good, though. Because
it is good.
Extra card draw. We're not in green, so this is kind of our quote unquote part of our
blue.
ramp.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying we don't have ramp.
Green. I don't care.
This is our ramp. Remember, blue ramps and red ramps buy treasure tokens and drawing, and we're doing both.
And mana rocks. We artifact there. What are you smoking? Jorah, Weatherlight Captain. All 0 drops. Whenever you cast historic spell, draw a card.
It's just perfect. It's so good. Next we have Quicksmith Genius. This is Ironman Light. For a 2 generic and a red, you get a 3/2 human artificer who states whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. The key word here that's wonderful is it's not cast. It's whenever it enters, we draw a card. Because we're not casting a lot of these things. They're being put onto the field.
Yeah, they're never going to let us draw a card for an artifact entering. They will never give us that.
They're like, you're going to have to do something for this.
You better cast it. Sage of Latinum. 1/2, you could tap it, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Nice and simple. Get rid of a treasure token, draw some cards. Padim, Consult of Innovation, legendary Vidalcan artifact. It is a 1/4. Artifacts you control are hexproof. Thank you. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest mana value or tied, draw a card.
And Tony is an artifact creature, so this gives him hexproof as well. So always wonderful. Also, Honorable tried to kill me by making his Latinum while I was mid-drink. Almost died. Do it for the podcast. Next, we have Psy Master Thopterist, probably mono blue, another mono blue artifact lover. For 2 generic and a blue, you have a 1/4 human artificer who states whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. For generic and a blue, you can sacrifice 2 artifacts and draw a card. The beauty here is he's going to make more things for us to eat if we need them. They're also flyers if we don't kill them. And then eventually, without having to tap, if we have leftover mana, which we will, and have leftover artifacts, we use this to generate more card draw.
Yeah, he's
really good.
He's an army in a can.
Yes.
And he kills his children.
Yeah. He wants to make the things that he eats to then play more things to make things. He's very self-sufficient.
I don't like this fish, sky swimmer koi. Stay in the ocean.
Magic
you
carp.
filthy.
Carp.
3 generic and a blue fish. It flies. It's a 3/3.
Flying fish.
Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card.
Again,
you will never get card advantage just for having artifacts enter. They know what you want to do.
On this topic, we have our final one of that idea. We have Transplant Theorist. 3 generic and a blue for a 2/4 artifact Phyrexian Artificer, who states that whenever him or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. And then, we have for 2 generic, you can put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. This is great if we're about to have somebody that wants to exile our graveyard. Graveyard hate is aplenty. But again, this is, as it enters, we're going to get rid of something we can recur, and we just move from there.
Thaldalkin Archmage is probably like the best card out draw engine we have. Whenever you play an artifact spell, draw a card.
It's just good.
I think Oracle Tax play is cast.
It is.
Because they would never let this be enter the battlefield. Because they hate us and they don't want us to have fun.
You don't get to have nice things.
We also have Academy Manufacturer. Why is he in card draw? He makes clues and food. We don't care about the food. We want the clues.
That's right. Because the time of man has come to an end. And that's why Blitzcrank here is going to make you, foods and clues whenever you make treasure tokens. So this is also giving us more artifacts for us to eat that are filling the role of going and finding those pesky 1-drops.
Yummy. Thoughtcast. I wish we had the other card that did exactly this. We couldn't fit it. 4 generic and a blue for a sorcery, affinity for artifacts, draw 2 cards.
And you could probably play this for a blue. That's the goal. And if you can, you're welcome. So, Larry's, we're talking about a lot of put that thing in the graveyard. And so, we're going to be killing and destroying our own artifacts naturally. So we have to have a way to get them back. So we have some very powerful recursion that is going to be repeatable because we need the ability to do this over and over again. So we have the beautiful goblins that love to think that they're good at fixing your machines. We have Goblin Welder. For just a red, you get a 1/1 Goblin Artificer that states when you tap it, you can choose target artifact that player controls and target artifact card in that player's graveyard. And if you do, swap them. And it pretty much has a bunch of wording to explain, you can't interrupt it to do any nonsense while it's happening. But the point being is pick one in your graveyard and one that's in play and swap their positions. The beauty of this, we can select a treasure token and then we can go get anything from our graveyard that's an artifact. And we don't really care that we lost a token when swapping around. And then if we pick things that die, because technically how this really words is bring them back and sacrifice the other one. So you can have your death triggers get applied with Goblin Welder as well.
Goblin Engineer is Goblin Welder who went to college a little bit.
Got an education.
You can search now.
Mm-hmm. He knows how to use the internet.
Yeah. You go find one of your powerful Empire cards, you throw it in the graveyard, and then you reanimate it next turn.
Yep. It's just super easy. Just make sure you follow its rule of 3 or less, which a good amount of the deck is.
Emery, Lurker of the Lock.
Locking in.
Dirty little merfolk.
Fish fingers.
She might as well have affinity for artifacts.
I mean, she technically does, yeah.
When she enters, we are going to mill 4 cards, and then we get to tap her. Choose target artifact in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. So we get to bring back all the stuff that we've been blowing up. Finally, Scrap Trawler Hauler.
So good.
He is a 3 mana construct. That's a 3/2. Whenever a Scrap Trawler or another artifact, keyword another artifact you control is put to a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost.
We love this because this is like pod in reverse. Scrap Trawler is going to let us work our way back down to then get things to put into our hand, to then cast back out, to work our way back up. And as long as you just remember highest then and then continue to go, Scrap Trawler can almost make it to where you get everything back that you use. It's just so beautiful. Remember, this is a little well-oiled machine that we're trying to have our billionaire playboy pilot at its absolute best.
Doom.
Doom!
Because Tony don't know about removing people's souls from their chest.
Yeah, you're right. He's trying to stop villains. This is definitely Dr. Doom in an Iron Man suit.
Let's talk about killing people.
Yep.
Blasphemous act. They have 13. If we have in total 13 creatures, say goodbye. Make sure you get that handy dandy hammer before you cast the spell.
Yes. Make Tony indestructible before you try to kill the board.
Doom.
Next is Chain Reaction. Same concept. 2 generic red. It deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the field. This can easily get up to a very gross amount of damage per creature. Again, make sure Tony is indestructible because we like damage board wipes.
Doom.
Doom.
Chaos Warp. I hate this card.
Yeah.
It never works out for me.
It never hurts them as bad as you want it to, ever. It always is like, haha, I got rid of your Soul Warden.
If you're desperate, cast this card.
Yes.
If you're me, just play something else.
Anything else, please.
Anything else, like a curse. See, it's a curse of swine. Tony doesn't know how to use magic, but Dr. Doom does.
Dr. Doom's like, hello, you're all Peppa Pig.
So for X, blue, exile target creature. For each creature exiled this way, its controller creates a 2/2 green boar creature token.
A 2/2 green Peppa. And you can have Peppa and her brothers and sisters.
For breakfast.
Next, we have a Cyclonic Rift. You knew it was going to be in here, and if you didn't, again, welcome to Magic the Gathering. This is a very good blue spell, and it's a one-sided board wipe. We say board wipe. It does the same job. It just doesn't destroy them. It returns them. Sometimes better because it gets around indestructible. Of course, we're going to overload it so that we can get rid of the entire board. We couldn't miss out on an Iron Man exclusive. That's right. We got to hit him with those palm blasts. We're going to take him down. We got Galvanic Blast for a red instant. It deals 2 damage to any target, but it deals 4 instead if you control 3 or more artifacts. Again, this isn't included because we can't miss out on an Iron Man exclusive.
Now that I'm thinking about it, why does Iron Man have a receding hairline?
The mask. It's got a widow's peak. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Tony's like, I'm going to make it look appropriate. That way.
And then to finish this out, we have 3 very efficient counter spells. An offer you can't refuse. Throw some shackles at him. Arcane Denial. Magic.
Yep.
Doom. Swan Song.
Birds. New York. I'm just kidding. Doom. I mean, you got to have counter magic. You're in blue. What are you doing without it? That's your way to be able to stop them from board wiping or removing Tony or Doom. But
That's the
it.
end of it, man.
Yeah. This is the wonderful and delicious secret lair for Iron Man Titan of Innovation, aka Young Doom. Check him out on the website, soon to be in theaters. Can't wait.
MF Doom, R.I.P. the GOAT.
This thing is going to be a lot of fun. Trust Larry's. We could have gone the route of just, very basic ways to play him, and I don't think you would have had as much fun as you would going and getting the Empire pieces, potting up and building your toolkit, and playing a little solitaire while you beat up your friends in the air.
And becoming Dr. Doom.
That's right.
That's the theme.
You're becoming Dr. Doom. At the beginning of the game, you're Tony Stark. About, turn 2 or 3, you're becoming Iron Man. And then by the end of the game, you're Dr. Doom.
you sacrificed your life. You saved the universe. You killed Thanos. And next thing you wake up, you're in Latveria and you hate everybody. Especially that bastard. Richard. Wait, what's his last name? Mr. Fantastic?
Reed Richards.
Reed Richards. There you go. I hate him so much. I don't even remember his name.
I hate you, Reed Richards.
Hate you, Reed. Give me your bitch.
Give me your stretchy powers.
Give me your woman. I love some.
But as always, we hope that you enjoyed this. Please make sure you like and comment, subscribe. Tell me what cards you expected or didn't expect to see. We'd love to hear from you, Larrys. We really do love to do this for you guys too, and hope that you guys are enjoying this. This is a really cool secret lair, and I think you guys will enjoy what we put together. And we love you 3000. I am your vicious scumbag.
And across from him, the Honorable Sensei. And together we are Longturnlarry Podcast. Doom!